I live at the edge of the city, not far enough to escape the noise, but far enough that no one visits unless they have to. My house is modest now. Once, it was grand. White pillars, polished wood, glass that gleamed like ambition. Now it's just clean. Clean but tired. Like me. The porch creaks with every wind that passes. Paint peels in corners I no longer care to fix. The tea I drink each morning is bitter, not because of the leaves, but because of what it tastes like: routine, stillness, days that blur into each other like smudges on an old photograph. The television hums on mute. I don't need its voice. I've heard all the lies already. I wear the same thick flannel every day, red, soft, frayed at the cuffs. It was a gift from my wife long before she passed. There's a hole under the left arm. I never saw it. There's comfort in things broken but familiar. I walk to the store 3 times a week. No one sees me. Literally. I hold the door open, no thank you. I drop a box, no one stops. Sometimes, when the cashier is young enough, they speak slower to me. Do you need help, sir? As if age makes you deaf and dumb all at once. I smile and say no. I always say no. My children are successful. At least that's what they tell their friends. My oldest, Daniel, is a corporate lawyer. Cold, sharp, always late. Melissa, my daughter, runs a chain of organic food stores. She says she's spiritual now. The youngest, Jake, a startup millionaire who once called me his hero on a podcast he never sent me. They never ask how I am. They ask what I need, but only so they can get it out of the way. And the grandkids? Well, they text me on holidays. The same 3 emojis. Every year. Some days I sit with my notebook. Not for poetry. Not for letters. Just thoughts. Quiet thoughts. Sharp thoughts. I am not lonely. Loneliness implies a desire for company. I no longer crave presence, I crave relevance. I used to be someone. Someone important. People used to lean forward when I spoke. Now, they look past me. Like I'm already fading. But here's the thing, I'm not fading. I'm watching. Listening. I'm just quiet, not blind. They think I'm done. Spent. Fragile. They don't see the fire smoldering under years of silence. But it's there. Flickering behind these tired eyes. A small, burning question that's grown into a howl. What if I don't forgive you? They think time dulled my age. Time didn't dull me. It taught me how to wait. There was a time when my voice could freeze a boardroom. A time when I didn't enter a room, I arrived. They used to say I had presence. But it wasn't charisma. It was certainty. The kind of certainty that made men twice my size sit down and shut up. I wasn't always kind. But I was fair. And in business, that used to mean something. I built my company from nothing. Not from my father's inheritance, I buried my father with debt in his pockets and bitterness in his bones. No, I earned everything. Sweat. Risk. Fear. 1993, I remember selling my first warehouse lease in a suit that didn't fit and shoes that bled my heels raw. I remember skipping meals to keep the office lights on. I remember Melissa asking if Santa would come that year and lying straight into her eyes, of course he will, even as I stared at an empty fridge. But I made it work. God help me, I made it work. By 98, we were moving millions. Real estate, logistics, infrastructure. I had a hand in everything. My name opened doors. Not for glory, but for those I loved. When Daniel needed law school tuition, I paid in cash. When Jake gambled away his startup seed money, I cleaned it up, quietly, painfully. When my wife got sick, I flew in specialists from Switzerland and didn't blink at the cost. I bled for them. And I never once asked for anything back. Back then, I was more than a man. I was an institution. A fortress. A pillar that held up the sky. But time is a slow assassin. It doesn't kill with knives. It kills with forgetfulness. No one remembers the sacrifices. No one recalls the nights I slept on office floors or the way I shielded them from the wolves outside. Now when I speak, I get polite nods. Now when I call, I get voicemails. Now when I visit, I get that "sorry, we are just heading out." They think I don't notice. That the old man doesn't feel the silence. But I do. I remember when people feared disappointing me. Now, they barely recognize me. They post photos of their lives online, dinners I'm not invited to, vacations I didn't even hear about. They toast each other with wine I once paid for, in homes I made possible, and they never once look over their shoulder. But I see it all. I scroll their lives with one finger and a burning chest. Because no one remembers the man who held up the sky. But I do. And that memory, that truth, is becoming my weapon. It's not the big betrayals that kill you. It's the small humiliations. The cuts that never quite bleed but never stop stinging. Yesterday, I called Daniel. Just to ask if he could help me fix the lock on the back gate. A 5-minute job. He didn't answer. 2 hours later, he texted. "Sorry, I've been slammed all day. Can it wait?" Wait. Yes, Daniel. I've been waiting for years. Melissa sent me a gift card for my birthday last week. $50 at a restaurant I can't walk to. No card. No call. Just a cold email receipt from the delivery service. Jake, God bless that boy, came by last month. Said he was checking in. But he never got off the phone during the entire visit. I asked if he could help me set up the new router. He laughed. Not cruelly, it was. Casually. Or, "Grandpa, I don't have time for that. You'll figure it out." He left after 15 minutes. I sat in silence for 5 hours, watching the blinking modem like it was mocking me. At the clinic last week, the nurse called out, "Someone help the old man with the papers." The old man. The doctor spoke to me like I had dementia. Slow, loud, condescending. "Mr. Whitmore, you need to take these pills every single day, okay?" I stared at him. Said nothing. He looked back at me like I was lost. No one listens. No one sees. I dropped a bag of apples outside the corner store last week. Bent to pick them up. A group of teenagers walked past, not one stopped. One of them chuckled. I don't even know why. Maybe because I was slow. Maybe just because I exist. And I do exist. Even if they don't want me to. I started writing everything down. Every slight. Every glance. Every time someone spoke over me, around me, never to me. I have names. I have dates. I have truths. My notebook is no longer for memories. It's a ledger. They think I'm keeping track of my pills. I'm keeping track of them. The man they see, stooped back, shaking hands, faded eyes, is a costume. But behind it, a mind sharp as it ever was. A heart cold with clarity. And a patience they never learned from me. Every act of dismissal. It's a match. And my mind is the dam holding back the flood. One day soon, it will break. And when it does, they won't hear me coming. They won't even know it's me. It happened on a Thursday. I was walking back from the pharmacy. Nothing heavy, just a bag with some aspirin, toothpaste, and a small can of soup. The wind was sharp. My legs were tired. I don't walk as fast anymore. I reached the corner by 8th and Maple, that spot where the sidewalk is cracked and the city never bothers to fix it. I stepped wrong. My ankle twisted. I fell. Not hard. But awkward. My bag tore open. The soup rolled into the street. Pills spilled like confetti across the concrete. My palms scraped. I could taste blood in my mouth. And people walked around me. 2 teenagers laughed. One of them whispered, not even softly, "Guess he should just stay home next time." A woman in a suit stepped around me like I was trash. Not even a glance. But then, I had it. A man, maybe 30, muttered to someone beside him, "No one needs that kind of baggage around anymore." I froze. That word. Baggage. Not person. Not man. Not human. Just something heavy and inconvenient. Something to be carried or discarded. And something snapped. But not like a branch. Not loud. Like a lock quietly turning. I stood up. Slowly. Methodically. Picked up the scattered pills one by one. I looked at the people watching me, and they weren't laughing anymore. Because something in my face had changed. I came home. Sat in my chair. Turned off the TV for the first time in weeks. And I opened the closet. Behind the coats, under an old blanket, was the safe. I hadn't touched it in 15 years. The combination came back to me like a muscle memory. Inside was a phone. Not a smartphone. A black, prepaid burner. Still charged. And the notebook. Not the new one, the old one. The real one. Contacts. Bank accounts. Names. There was a man I once saved from financial ruin, now a CFO of $1 billion fund. He owes me. Whether he remembers or not. There was a hacker I helped avoid jail in 2006. She's cybersecurity now. Expensive. Loyal. Dangerous. There were debt collectors, lawyers, mercenaries of influence. Men and women who used to fear me. Who learned never to cross me. I flipped through the names like pages of a spell book. And slowly, deliberately, I began to write again. Not poetry. Not thoughts. Moves. Because here's the thing no one understands. Power doesn't leave you. It just sleeps. And when it wakes, it does so with precision. I'm not here to fight them. I'm here to reveal them. To turn their perfect lives upside down with truths they thought were buried. To let their own greed, vanity, and lies eat them from the inside. Not through violence. Through consequence. The first message I sent was anonymous. Just a number, a link, and 2 words. I remember. And the game began. They don't see me anymore. And that's exactly what I need. The first domino fell with Daniel. My son. The proud lawyer. He once used my name to get a judge's favor. I have the recording. He forgot who taught him how to leverage power. I sent it anonymously to the ethics board. No threats. No commentary. Just the truth. Within a week, he was suspended. He called me, voice shaking. Someone sabotaging me, Dad. I told him to stay strong. To be a man. Just like I taught him. Melissa's fall was gentler, more elegant. Her stores were expanding into areas protected by zoning codes. Years ago, I helped grease those wheels, illegally gray, morally lighter than she'd admit. I sent the documents to the local paper under the pseudonym Hacker. The scandal trended for 2 days. Her conscious brand is now being boycotted by the same people who used to praise her. Jake. That one hurt. But he needed to be broken. He mocked me with his indifference. Laughed in my face. So I sent a client his plagiarized pitch deck from 2 years ago, the one he stole from a former partner. The contract vanished. The investors disappeared. He posted online that he was taking a mental health break. Good. Let him sit with it. Let him grow up. And me? I remain invisible. They don't know where it's coming from. They check their emails twice. They scan the room for spies. They whisper, paranoid. They've forgotten how clean guilt can smell when it festers. Calls have started again. Daniel asks if I need anything. Melissa wants to come visit, it says she misses me. Jake sent a voice note. He sounded scared. Like a boy again. But I don't answer. I let the silence speak. That's the part they never understood. They thought silence was weakness. It's not. Silence is strategy. It's pressure. It's dominance without noise. I walk past the mirror now and I don't see a frail man. I see a ghost made of all power. A revenant of justice. A conductor of quiet collapse. They will survive. But they will never forget. And neither will I. Because I am no longer their father. I am no longer their safety net. I am their reckoning. They came on a Sunday. Funny, isn't it? Sundays used to be sacred in our family, breakfast together, noise in the kitchen, my wife humming some tune she never remembered the name of. Now the house is quiet. Except for the sound of 3 cars pulling into my driveway, one after another. I didn't invite them. But they came anyway. Daniel knocked fast. Tentative. Hesitant. The kind of knock a man uses when he's afraid of the answer behind the door. Dad, can we talk? Melissa stood behind him, avoiding my eyes. She clutched a box of tea, the same brand I buy for myself every week. A peace offering from a child who finally remembered she has a father. Jake lingered near the porch steps. Shoulders sagging. Phone in his hand but screen dark for once. I opened the door. No words. Not yet. They filed in like parishioners entering a church, unsure if they are there for salvation or confession. I sat in my armchair. They stood. For the first time in years, they looked at me, truly looked. Not at the frail body. Not at the age. But at the man beneath it. Daniel spoke first. Dad, things have been falling apart. And we don't know why. His voice cracked. Good. Cracks let the truth out. Melissa wiped her eyes. I feel like someone is trying to punish us. She didn't say who. She didn't need to. Jake sank onto the old couch, fingers trembling. Grandpa, if you know something, anything. I watched them. The 3 people I built my life around. The 3 people who walked past me like strangers while I faded into the wallpaper of their busy, perfect lives. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is noisy. And I have learned to love silence. I leaned forward. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't waver. I warned you, I said softly, your whole lives, that every action has weight. That nothing disappears. Not effort. Not sacrifice. Not heart. They stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Maybe I had. I didn't confess. I didn't deny. I simply held their gaze, steady, unblinking, unwavering, until each of them dropped theirs. In that silence, something shifted. Not in me. In them. Respect. Fear. Awakening. The kind that can't be taught by lectures or punishments. Only by truth. Before they left, Jake whispered, I'm sorry. And for the first time in a long time, that I believed him. When the door closed behind them, I opened my notebook. One last entry. Not a threat. Not a plan. Just a sentence. Old age is not the end. It is the vantage point from which everything becomes clear. I closed the book. Not because my work was finished, but because the lesson had been delivered. They will never know exactly what I did. They will never prove it. But they will never again look at me as something fragile, forgettable, or disposable. I didn't want their gratitude. I didn't want their apologies. I wanted one thing. For them to see me. And now they do. At last.
Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.